Hello and welcome to GameGuru Classic and GameGuru Max broadcast number 117. Won't do a sound check. I'm pretty sure someone's going to tell me that no one can hear me within a few minutes of me gabbling on. I have a little live chat screen off to the side, and so if someone can hear me and say it, then I'll be able to read it. Now, that's what I call an indirect question. Okay, so what's the format of these live broadcasts? Pretty simple. Start off with some demos, and then I will answer your questions if you have any. So we split it up into a couple of parts. And also in the second half, we're going to try something else as well. But more on that in a little way. No, I'll tell you right now if you like. I'm going on holiday at some point, and of course, while sunning myself, I can also be here in the office doing live broadcasts. But I do want to keep it going and make it as live as possible, even if I am not here. So one of the ideas we're going to experiment with is moving on to Discord for some Q&A. So I just want to tell you right now, obviously we're going to do our broadcast, don't worry about it, you don't have to do anything. But if you don't already have a Discord account set up, whilst you're listening and watching the broadcast, go set it up now. Create an account, get everything ready. I'll show you what to do towards the end of the broadcast if you do want to join in for what I'm going to call an extended opportunity for you to ask a few more questions and get some answers. But really, we're all just guinea pigs together trying to figure out if we can squeeze in this idea of tagging on our Discord chat after the main broadcast. It might work out, it might be terrible. Okay, so that's basically the format. So let's get stuck in. Want to talk about Max first. I've got a couple of things to talk about here. First up and foremost, we've released a October update. October Fixes is now live. So if you log into your Steam client and you've got auto update switched on, it will detect that and update your version. Not a huge amount of changes, but we are keeping on top of it. You may remember we already did an update in September, and we usually leave it every 3 months. But we're rattling them out now because it's an updated repository. We're getting contributors and also a lot of activities resurging, and so we want to keep on top of the bugs. This screenshot that you can see right here, this was the state of affairs probably a week ago. And if I go on to GitHub, I'm dragging it right here. I have to do a little bit of jiggery poker here, but if we just click on issues to reset that, go into classic. This is probably easy to do on a shortcut, but for now I'll just show you the process that I use to filter out all the stuff that aren't bugs. I think it's Alt, isn't it, to exclude that. So yeah, as you saw in the screenshot, 12 opens, and now we're down to 4. 3 of them requiring other information, and the 4th one requiring a confirmation. I'm pretty happy with that fix. I have tested it. It was something to do with some MP4s are a certain size and we could catch when it gets to the end. But certain other MP4 video files could get to the end and then reset back to 0 before the condition for have you finished playing was detected. And that's why it just sat around waiting for you to press the click before it left the video playback and carry on playing your game. So I'm pretty happy with that fix, but if I think it's Avenging Eagle, if you could just confirm that's fixed, that's great. We can close that one down. So as you can see, we really bashed the bug board for GameGuru Classic, and you can check out the October update. Also, I've not got something to show, that is to say, I'm not going to show it, but there is something really utterly amazing coming for GameGuru Classic in terms of visuals and maybe a functionality thing you've been wanting forever. And yeah, that is like a whole broadcast all by itself, by the way. So not enough time to do it this time, and I don't want to reveal it before it's absolutely ready. But yeah, keep an eye out. Future broadcasts will include that, what I'm alluding to. And if anyone out there knows what it is, please don't spoil it for everyone in the live chat. Okay, and the second thing I want to talk about with GameGuru Classic is this. If anyone's familiar with the GameGuru Classic repository, which is access to all the source code for GameGuru Classic, we've changed this description. Why? Because I thought it'd be really good if I made a YouTube video which showed you how, from scratch, to get the repository and Visual Studio and compile it up and have it running your own binary instead of one that comes with GameGuru Classic on Steam. Problem is, literally in the last 2 weeks, I think, Microsoft have pulled the Visual Studio 2017 Community Edition. Can't find it anywhere. Even those secret little links that used to exist where you could sort of access Microsoft servers if you knew the right URL codes, they've gone. They now point to the Visual Studio 2022. And I don't want to send you to a non-Microsoft website. Who knows what horrible viruses and trojans are hiding in those executables. And so there was only really one choice, which to find another version of Visual Studio 2017, official, that we could support. And then all the code that goes with updating the repository so it works. It's taken the best part of 2 days. I have probably about 7 hours of video footage because I recorded the whole process. The next stage is to do some editing. I need to edit 7 hours down to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, which is the big cleaned up snapshot of how to get completely from scratch. I reformatted a laptop, and I've gone through the whole process from scratch to show you from zero how to get to actually to creating your own binary for GameGuru Classic. Now, don't worry about the professional edition. Yes, back in the day, 5 years ago, you would have to have paid for this, but now it's free. Just register with Microsoft with one of their hobbyist developer accounts, and then when you follow this link, it will take you to a download for the professional edition. Just follow these instructions. They've been updated, and that'll start you off. But underneath here, as I said, I've not edited it and uploaded it to YouTube yet, but I'll add an extra section here, which is a link to the video, so you can watch the video for 10-15 minutes, and then you're much more familiar with how to grab the repo. And again, I don't really want to reveal stuff ahead of time, but there is another member of our community who is taking an interest. And when someone like this takes an interest in the Classic repo, expect goodness. So yeah, I'm really excited about what's happening these days in the GameGuru Classic community, and I'm happy to support it and do everything I can to keep it relevant, etc., and all the rest of it. But maybe a lot of you have tuned in for what's next, which of course is the news on GameGuru Max. Okay, let's keep it going. No more fluffs. This is internal development news, and you want to see what we've been working on. And finally, I get to show you something I have hinted at in the last couple of broadcasts. So I'm going to launch my very tenuously balanced, not quite stable version. You might find it later when the whole thing goes kaboom. Is the latest version. This is the DX12 build. I'm running on the AMD graphics card that one of the members of the community kindly submitted, which will crash my machine if I do the wrong things. Good for me, because if I can reproduce it, I can fix it. So I'm going to drop into here. You've probably seen this before. If I turn around now 180 degrees, it looks at an object that will crash the AMD card. So I'm always going to look in this direction. Just for full disclosure, why is Lee not turning around? But the thing I actually want to show you is the version 1. It's the Wednesday version 1. There's going to be a Friday version 1, which is slightly better. But you're going to see the internal sneaky peek look at the version 1 of the building editor. There it is. It's now part of GameGuru Max, free. It's part of the GameGuru Max core product. Remember a couple of weeks, probably months now, we included the particle editor tool as a free component of GameGuru Max, and the building editor tool now joins it. And to run it, you simply just click building editor from the edit menu, and we're in. And this is what it looks like. Familiar, I hear you say? Well, of course. What we've decided to do is set up what's called a toolkit to create tools with. And the best thing with our toolkit is if everything seems consistent with GameGuru Max, gadgets that you're familiar with the core product extend into these tools, it's quicker to pick up and start using, and that's why it looks familiar. We're literally using the same layers of UI, but it is a separate app. At the moment we need to change this icon, I think, but as you can see, it is a separate application, and then you can bounce backwards and forwards between Macs and the tools that you have open that you might want to do different things with. If you're lucky enough to have multiple monitors, you can have your tools on different screens, edit quite independently of the core product, and then the tools will communicate with each other. So I just want to show you how easy it is to create a building with the building editor, and then I'll jump back to the building editor and show you a few little tricks. Not everything, because obviously we're eating the clock here, and I don't want to spend too much time on stuff you'll find out before too long when you get your hands on this internal build. So we've started you off with a single room, like so. I can create a door just by dragging a door in. These doors are actually stolen from the GameGuru Max object library. It's actually gone and it's found GameGuru Max, found all the doors, and has listed them for you. These are just some starting off ones that are in the stock. But if you've got any more or new doors that you've added, then you can use add object to add to this collection. So we've added a door. Similarly, it's found all the windows and let me choose one. And it's looked for all the staircases in the object library, and now I've got one like this. And you notice what just happened then with that room load a little bit. By default, it uses the height of the staircase to figure out the height of the room in order to get to the next room, which makes perfect sense if you want that staircase to start at the floor and then end at the floor of the level above you. So that's how easy it was to create door, window and staircase in a room that is now a building with an inside texture and outside texture. Then I go to export, I'll call it ABC8. I've been making a few previous ones, I think that's as far as I got. If you don't already have a project, it saves it and then it exports it as ABC8, boom. It already knows where GameGuru Max's folder is, so it's dropped it in for you. All we got to do now is jump back to GameGuru Max, go to the object library, users, building editor. As you can see, these are all my previous quick scratchy attempts, but right there, ABC8, drop that into the world. And that's exactly what we've just created. The door, the window, you can see the staircase through the window, and that pops out onto the roof. Now, I'm not going to press this button because, as I said, the aforementioned AMD crash will come and freeze everything, might even disrupt the stream. So I'm not going to press that, but suffice it to say, if I did click test level, I can run up to the door. It's all functional as well. The door will open and close like a real door. The window stays where it is. You can run up and down the staircase, etc. So if I go back to the building editor, I want to show you a few more things. I am conscious of the time as well. And as I said, you'll get more of these. I'm going to make a few videos which show you how to use the building editor in every way, shape or form, so you don't have to read a huge user manual. Who wants to read anymore? So you probably guessed on the right, these are all the properties of our building that we're making. We can go up to the next one, and if we wanted to, we can create another layer. So this is our first floor. That was our ground floor. This is our first floor, as you can see. The hole has been created, the staircase comes up to here, and of course we can add some more windows. Now I've got some really cool features. If I hold down Shift and Control, it does axis alignment. So axis aligns, and I can do duplicate windows. It also figures out which side you're pointing to, and then obviously create the windows as you need them. And it works with different kinds of windows. So again, I just add lots of these. Like so. I could add another staircase, so let's just rotate that, go up another level, and you know, you don't have to have the rooms the same. Maybe this is a shorter room, like an attic, something like that. So there you go. So if I just drop back down to the floor, yeah, all that looks good. No, I'll tell you what, let's have another door just right in the side, like one right here. Cool. So all I'm going to do, let's say I just like this project, just want to save it out again so I can export, keep it as 8. Yes, thank you very much. Let's not bother with that, go back in. It's still the same one, so we click this, drop it in, and now, much bigger. We've got the door, the little secret door around the side, lots of windows, and there's a little attic space. So it just shows you how quickly it is to create buildings. Now I must say, this is a version 1, which means we've gone for all the stuff we really couldn't do without. All walls, floors and ceilings are necessary to make a building. You also need doors and windows. You need staircases to get from layer to layer, from floor to floor. And you need a ceiling, something to cap the individual rooms so you're not getting rained on. So we focused on all the basics. And another thing that we have focused on, if I just jump back really quickly, and these were things, believe it or not, these weren't in the first version, but obviously we have some testers, and we ask our testers honestly, you know, we're ready, and a lot of them said no. So something like this. Let's say you wanted a room like that, and let's say go to hide and show. You want to be able to have an L-shaped sort of room, so it's not just squares. You can actually have any shape you want by hiding and showing walls as you see fit. Also, a lot of things that was requested. It's fine, sure, if you want to say, oh, I don't like that floor. I want a wooden floor. So it's a nice wooden floor. But those are originally there were only 16 textures we were going to give you. But we've changed that now. We've got change texture folder, so now you can actually have your own texture sets. So let's say you wanted to create buildings for like a sci-fi game, then all your textures can be in the sci-fi theme, lots of metal and grates and rusty iron and stuff like that. Or it could be like a medieval or wooden or stone or whatever it is. Now you can actually change, you can create your own textures, place them in. The building editor is clever enough that if you put the texture down, it will take care of the PBR if they're in the right naming conventions. So it's a full PBR texture set system that it will detect, and at any time you can just reset it back to the defaults that we've given you, which is a nice distribution of different materials to start you off with. And the building editor will remember your texture choices as well. So let's say you change your texture folder to something else, and then you leave the building editor and come back. It remembers that you was working on your sci-fi stuff, and you can carry on like that. Lots of other features. I'd really like to go into details, but as I said before, I am conscious of the time, and we've now got 2 lots of Q&A to get through, and I know you don't want to be here forever and ever and ever. So that is the building editor version 1. I'm going to, if everything goes nicely in the next half an hour to an hour, put it out as a replacement to the EXP build. So if you know what that is, go onto the Steam client, go into the betas tab, find the EXP build, update to that, and you will get the building editor. And also, we've also included a building editor getting started, which is a 5-minute video, which pretty much covers what I've just done in this broadcast. So check out later tonight, update to the XP build, and you'll get to play with this. We've got 2 more days of internal testing just to make sure everything's hunky-dory and super solid. And then on Friday, we'll be releasing this as our version 1, along with, because I think we mentioned this in last week's, custom terrain textures. So we're releasing custom terrain textures in addition to the building editor. So a really cool Friday update for everyone. So I hope you enjoy that. So let's move on to the second part of our live broadcast, which of course is the Q&A. Okay, so we have questions galore. As I say, we'll keep this Q&A a little bit short, and then we'll move on to Discord and see if that works. We're all going to be guinea pigs on that one because it may not even work. So we will give some time to questions today in our live chat, just in case someone out there doesn't have Discord and feels a bit disgruntled that, oh, thank you very much, I don't get my question answered. So answer them, ask them right now, please. Okay, Zach, thank you for collecting the questions. Already a few coming in. Let's rattle them off. Try and be a little bit non-verbose. So, questions. Zach asks, will there be functionality to add our own videos into the video bank folder without having to manually copy them over? Same for sounds. When you import sounds, it already places them in the writables folder for you. That's a clever system. But the same system doesn't work for videos, which I think it should. So for sounds, just look for the import sounds when you go into the sound library, because that already copies your sounds from wherever it is you've stored them into the correct location for GameGuru Max. It's not true of videos. So if that's not already an issue on the issues board, please post it there. It's not a difficult thing to do, but it is kind of a missing thing, and it's dropping that consistency between videos and other media formats. Another question, when do you think multiplayer will release, or when RPG will release? Multiplayer not until after version 1. It's not on our roadmap for version 1, but it is on our roadmap. We've done a lot of work on multiplayer, and more recently with the Photon APIs. So we're not abandoning it, and we are going to be working on multiplayer, just not in GameGuru Max for version 1. RPG, on the other hand, is going to be in version 1. In fact, we've already started in the back-end logic, and in the next 6 weeks, we'll be well underway on the front-end stuff. You know, how you can create your own inventory screens and player skill trees and things like that. So we are going to start working on the front end stuff, which I think is the most exciting part, because that's the part you get to see. Bob's just intersected a question. Any chance of new weather effects? Nope, not at the moment. There are some interesting things going on in the latest version of the Wicked engine that we might be able to port through. I won't say over, we'll already be on it. We'll just pull that thread through to the front end so you can see it. But no, there's a lot of things that we need to do, and weather isn't the top priority right now. Another question, I think, on multiplayer: is it realistic to say multiplayer will work with Classic again this year? Not sure. We don't really have a timeline on that. We do plan on looking at multiplayer, and we still have probably 2 months before we could say it is the end of the year. But there is a lot we have to squeeze in the next couple of months. So I'd say it's probably not likely. I mean, we will be looking at it and tinkering with it, and it may suddenly spring to life and suddenly work. But I don't really want to just do a tinker. I want to do a proper job. So it's probably going to move on to next year, that one. So please don't hold your breath on the Classic and the Max multiplayer right now. Lots of other things that we're working on. Jademan, Max beta code, 3 question marks. Yeah, it is a code. I will post it in the Discord. Someone remind me on the Discord what the code is. Of course, Jade Bird Max, I've just realised if you're not going to go to Discord, you won't get the code. Someone out there, if you have a code, you absolutely have my permission to post it in this live chat whilst we are here. Failing that, and it will be on Discord, I shall post it. Where is something? I tell you what, I can post it in this YouTube. Once it goes onto YouTube as a video recording, I'll post the code there. Because obviously we're talking about the code, and anyone who's watching this as a recording later on might want the code. So I'll put it in the comments. Brilliant. Okay, looking for a question mark. No question marks yet. Here's a question mark. Lots of them. This is from Marcos. Will we have a cutscene editor this year? No plans to add a cutscene editor in GameGuru Max or GameGuru Classic from us. There is a cutscene editor in Classic. It's called CineGuru. Go check that out. We didn't write it, but it is an excellent addition to GameGuru Classic, and that lets you make cutscenes. But there is no plans to do a cutscene editor in GameGuru Max. Here's a question from Super Confident Man. Can building editor objects be used to make smart objects? The building editor does create smart objects. How did you think we crammed all them windows and them working doors into a single object you dragged into the level? It's a massive smart object. Optimized for collision, texture use, geometry use, fully working objects, built-in lights for every room. It's a fully functional, massive smart object. So yeah, good anticipation there, but yeah, that's what we've done. We've reused our smart object system, and of course from that we can expand to do all kinds of cool new things in version 2 and version 3 and version 4 of the building editor. Okay, another question, and this is right underneath. This is from Chrissy. Will RPG consist of breaking down trees and getting wood in inventory and crafting? Yes, all of the above. Foraging is the breaking down trees and finding herbs and things. Inventory, those things you can collect and run around, and then adding 2 objects together to create a third is of course your crafting. All of those things are mainstays of RPG. We're looking forward to adding those in the back end and the front end as well. So I'm just checking out the clock. We're 25 minutes in. I'll pick 2 more questions and then we'll see what happens with our super experimental Discord extended Q&A for those who want to ask even more questions. So whilst I'm firing off these answers, maybe go check out and boot up your Discord, but I'll show you where the address is if you don't know where to go. Okay, last 2 questions from someone who hasn't asked a question before. Actually, there is only 2 questions. Can breakable glass work on other objects? There is no breakable glass currently in GameGuru Max. Is there any plans for rivers and waterfalls? There are no plans for rivers and waterfalls for version 1 of GameGuru Max, but we will be adding something like that in the future if the community doesn't beat us to it. And the last question, Lee, could you add more Sky HDRI? Not sure what HDRI is, but there are no plans to add any more skies until we finish version 1. After that, we might do some kind of booster pack with like 50 more skies, so you have an infinite supply. But my predilection is to go with simulated skies, an infinite variety of skies, and you set the parameters of. So those are the questions for our live chat and our YouTube recording. If I go to the browser and the final one, Nomad beat everyone to Discord. Congratulations, Nomad, and thank you also for testing the permissions that I've set. You are now allowed, I disabled it like an hour ago, but I've re-enabled it. You are now allowed to post stuff into this one, livestream-questions. The URL isn't that helpful. Discord.com channels, I wish I could post it. I could tell you what, I can, can't I? If I copy that there and let Lee be really clever and actually post into his own live chat. See, I'm not just a pretty face. So that is the link to that. That gets you in here. Whether you can actually log in, I'm sure it's pretty quick to register and post, but now you'll be able to see yourself in the live chat, posting in Discord through the live thingy. Okay, joking, Lee should answer your Discord messages. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I think a couple of people have shown up, which means it's working. Our experiment, at least so far, is doing great. So with that, I'm going to say not goodbye, but we'll meet again. What's that in French? Hasta la vista? No, that's German. Okay. Let's move over to the Discord. Thank you very much for joining us in our YouTube live broadcast, and I will see you here in about 30 seconds on Discord. We will put out another 10 minutes of juicy answers for anyone who's got any questions and didn't have time to ask them in the broadcast. So until next Wednesday at 7 p.m. BST, I shall say goodbye and see you in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds. Until then, goodbye.